Hello everyone, welcome to my second official episode on Sky Sparkle Project. I hope everyone is having an amazing and blessed day. And on this episode, I will be explaining my uncle's story on how he passed away from opioid drug misuse. Also, I just want to let everyone know I will be talking about addiction, substances, and losing a family member. So if that triggers anyone, I just want to let you guys know because this is a sensitive topic and I will be going into a little bit of detail. Before I get into the story, I just want to let everyone know, if you haven't checked out my first episode already, I recommend doing that. I'm explaining my brand, Sky Sparkle Project, and what it is, a little bit about myself. And some of it ties into this video because one of my elements is prescription for prevention, where I go out into the community and share my uncle's story and educate others on opioid drug misuse. So I definitely recommend looking at that video and checking out my website and other social medias that I will have down in the description. So first things first, my uncle passed away from opioid drug misuse when I was only 6 years old. Growing up from when I was born to 6 years old, my uncle really was my father figure in my life. I didn't really grow up with my biological father. Two main men in my life were my uncle and my grandpa because I lived with them. I lived with my grandparents, my mom, and my uncle. My mom had me at a little bit of a younger age, so it all just kind of worked out and got us stable and everything. And we actually grew up in a very beautiful house, and I'm very blessed for that. My uncle was a very good man. He always made sure to take care of me. I remember some of my most valuable and treasured moments from my childhood being with my uncle, and I was only 6 years old when he passed. Like, I remember going to Disney World for my first time with him and my mom. I was only 3 years old, and if you guys know anything about Disney World, you know about Splash Mountain and how it turned into the Tiana ride now. But when I was 3 years old, I rode that ride, and I wasn't scared. Girl, at my grown age now, I went to Disney World a couple weeks ago and rode the new Tiana ride that once was Splash Mountain. I was terrified. I'm sorry to be off topic, but my uncle would appreciate this humor because he was hilarious, and I just know he would be so proud of me right now, and I know he is looking down and is so proud of everything that I've accomplished, and he'd be laughing at my jokes too. I mean, I probably get my humor from him and my family, so it just all works out. I remember going to Stop and Play. That was our hometown arcade. I still go there to this day, and I just remember some of my core memories there at our old mall. It's still around, surprisingly, but it's so ran down now. Unky, I know, you'd be so disappointed. That's what I used to call him. He's Unky to me. Like, I call my other uncle Uncle Eric, but his name is Shane. I called him Unky. And yeah, no, you'd be so disappointed if you saw that mall now. I remember going out to eat. I just remember a lot of core memories. And my uncle passed away on December 19th, 2012. And I figured this would be a really appropriate time to share his story because it's the holiday season. And my uncle passed away 6 days before Christmas. So if you can imagine, the holidays have been a little rough over the years. God's got me through it though. Speaking of Christmas, growing up, every one of my family, they would come to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve. It would be my grandparents, my mom, my uncle, my other uncle, aunt, cousins family. You know, we would all just gather around and eat nice dinner and some appetizers, see the Christmas tree, walk around, see the beautiful Christmas lights, and, you know, just have a good time. You know, it wouldn't be a normal Christmas for us if an argument didn't break out, but, you know, what family doesn't argue? You know, I just remember those being such core memories, and my unky would always be there, and my cousin Kylie and I, we would always admire him and just have such an amazing time with him. Like, he would always be there for us. And that's why it's just so crazy to think that he was addicted to drugs when all of this was happening. And addiction really does take over, but most of the time with individuals who are addicted and they're around people they love, they're going to try their best to hide that. And he did that very well for us, you know. I was only 6 years old, so I didn't even know what drugs were, but I didn't know anything that was happening at all. Towards the end of his life, you know, he was only 27 when he passed, but the night before, December 19th, 2012, which was 13 years ago, still remember everything so vividly, and it actually like blows my mind that I remember all of this so vividly. When it came to going to school, now my mom would work sometimes, and you know, some of my family, they had to make money, so they would have to go to work. And I was so grateful and blessed that some of my neighbors that went to the same elementary school as me, their mom would take us to school and take us back home from school sometimes, so I was very blessed to have that. Just keep that in mind. But the night before my uncle passed away, my mom, uncle, and I, we were all in our dining room, and we were building a gingerbread house. And this actually was the last gingerbread house I've built in the past 12 years. Last year was the first time I built one since his passing, because I just always felt so weird doing it. But we built a gingerbread house. Even the picture was posted on to Facebook and everything, you know. Built our gingerbread house. And then my mom and uncle, as their brother and sister, got into an argument. He got me an ornament and everything, you know, because it's about to be Christmas. And then he goes to sleep. My mom and I go to sleep. We lived in a 2-story house, and I don't know why. I've never even had anything creepy happen before my uncle's passing, but I've always been like so scared of upstairs, so I literally slept with my mom. I used to sleep with my mom. Yes, guys, I did. Yes. And when I went to sleep with my mom, I go past my uncle's room and I always say, "Good night, Unky, I love you." And I felt like at the time I remember him saying I love you back, but I feel like that memory is kind of just fading away and I can't actually remember if he said it or not. But went to sleep, and my mom and I, we kind of woke up in the middle of the night, and we heard snoring from his room, because it was my mom's room, and then his room was right next to it. So we kind of heard snoring in the middle of the night, and my mom was like, she told me, she was like, "Should I go check on him?" And, you know, I'm only 6 years old, so I don't know. I thought he was just snoring, going to sleep. I had to go to school the next morning. My mom had to work. I don't know, like, I thought everything was lollipops and rainbows. I didn't think anything of it at all. And it's snoring. You don't think anything of that. Like, I don't know, I don't. But my mom really just felt like she needed to check on him. And it was very, very odd. So we both go back to sleep. We do our daily things the next day. My neighbors, they take me to school. They take me home from school. My mom's still working, and it's okay because my grandma, she's always home. You know, she couldn't really go out that much then anyways, because she's always had like leg problems and knee problems and everything. So she would be the stay-at-home grandma, and that's perfectly okay because my grandpa was working, you know. It's all good. And she couldn't drive either, so she couldn't pick me up or take me to school at all, and that's okay. And I come home, I say hi to my Nana, because that's what I called her, still call her. And usually when I get home from school and I know my uncle's home, I pop on SpongeBob and we watch SpongeBob, because that was our thing. You know, I loved watching SpongeBob with my uncle because he would always make impressions of SpongeBob, and I thought he was so hilarious, because he was. And I go upstairs to his room, and I never was the person that would like just open the door, because I feel like that's disrespectful. So I knocked on his door because it was closed. It usually was open, but it was closed this time, and I was just like, okay, maybe he's not home. And it just got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to open the door. It was locked, so I'm like, okay, so then he has to be home. Maybe he's sleeping. Maybe I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't. And it got to a point where it started freaking me out. So I went downstairs and I told my grandma, and I'm like, Nana, like, Unkie's not answering his door. I don't know, is he home? You know, I was just asking a bunch of questions. And my Nana, she never really went upstairs, even though she lived in a 2-story house. She never made her way upstairs that much often because her legs. But she was getting so freaked out to the point where she made her way upstairs. It was just us. So she made her way upstairs. My mom was about to get off of work. My Nana tries to get into my uncle's room, not answering, and I was starting to get really freaked out. And I don't even know how it was so like caught up in my brain at this moment because I was only 6. But I turned on SpongeBob because that's always been, from that time on, it's always been a coping mechanism for me. I've always just put on SpongeBob as a little distraction. And then my Nana calls my mom, and my mom is on the way home because, you know, everyone just starts kind of freaking out a little bit because where could he have been? It wasn't adding up. So my mom, she rushed home. She came upstairs and she tried opening the door, of course, like we all did. And what was going through my mind? I had the weirdest thoughts. I didn't even think that he was gone. I thought, I don't know why, little trigger warning, I don't even know why I thought this, but I thought his arm would be off. Don't know why. And it was moving around by itself. Why would I have that thought? No idea. I've never even watched a movie on that. I've never been exposed to anything like that. So why would that be through my head? Don't know. But my mom, she tried opening the door. She couldn't get it open. It just got to the point where she had to bust it down. She literally took the door. She got in there. And that was a point in time where I was like, wow. I didn't even get to see him, and I was already freaking out. Because I knew in my heart something was weird. My mom starts freaking out. I run downstairs. I go outside screaming. And my neighbors are all coming outside. They're like comforting me and just making sure I'm okay, making sure my family's okay. I'm just freaking out. My grandma is still upstairs. My mom is like freaking out. She doesn't know what's wrong with my uncle because he was in his room. He was in his room, unresponsive. His body was there. He was turning purple. But it was just where he was. It was very weird. He, trying to explain it, I'm sorry if this freaks anyone out, he was kind of crouched down. And he had a Bible underneath his hands. Right there. And he was gone. Like, that's it. Like, he was literally gone. And when I went outside and everything, I went to my neighbor's house that always took me to school, and because they've always been so caring, and I hope they're doing great. I actually can't find their contact anywhere, but they really helped me through a really rough time because they moved and everything. I don't know where they are, but Slade and Sebastian, if you're watching this, you and your mom have been so amazing, and I don't even know if you remember me, but I just really appreciate it. They let my mom and I stay at their house, which is amazing, you know. And then I remember my mom, she took me to Toys R Us. If you guys remember that store, you guys know. And my mom got me a little clarinet, like a little flute thing. It was a pink one, you know, as a little distraction to just get my mind off of everything, because again, I'm only 6 years old. It's an emotional roller coaster because, one, I've never seen a passing before. Number two, I really didn't know what was going on, but I knew deep in my heart something deeper was there. I couldn't comprehend it. And it just felt so weird. I remember seeing a van at my house when I don't know, I just remember seeing a van, and they took my uncle and everything, and then he was gone. He was gone. And then they did the autopsy, and growing up, I never thought of anything like this because I didn't know what any of this was, as I was so young. But growing up, I used to think it was maybe overdose because I was learning more about drugs and how it's actually a reoccurring problem all over the place. But no, my uncle did not pass away from overdose. He passed away from a heart condition called atherosclerosis, which is where the drugs that he was taking were clogging his arteries and heart. And that actually is an overdose. And that snoring that we heard that night was what was happening. It hurts to think about, because all I can think about is everything that happened. Like, I was there. I saw everything firsthand. And this happened 6 days before Christmas. And I actually do remember us still having a Christmas Eve. But I was still trying to be happy and everything. But something was missing. My uncle. And then after that, holidays have been so freaking weird. So different. I know a lot of people get seasonal depression and everything, but it's just it's hard. It really does. And I'm really trying to break through with that. And that's why I take his story, try to take a negative situation and just turn it into a positive. I never thought to do this my whole life growing up because, I'm so young. But that's when I got into high school. I wanted to learn more about it before I created anything on my own. I got involved with different groups and organizations through my high school, that just talked about drugs and mental health and stuff all around that, and how it all actually stems together. So I was able to educate myself on what my uncle was going through and what the community is also going through, because it's not just my uncle. So many people are going through what my uncle went through. And I love to give my perspective on it. This is a literal heart condition. It's not something he came up with overnight or was born with. This all happened from the substances he was taking, and he was specifically taking opioids, which are prescription medications. It just kept accumulating into his arteries and his heart, and now he's gone. And it just got to a point where there was just interesting things that I've seen growing up. I believe it was the night of his passing, where the phones kept ringing. Because my grandparents, they always had the home phones, but my phone, the wires, they just kept ringing in and out, and something was tweaking that electricity. And it's just I know that's crazy to say, but it's really an energy thing. And I truly believe it's from my uncle's energy, from when he was passing. And I know that's so crazy to think about. I kind of grown up seeing things a lot differently than I feel other people have, if that makes sense. I didn't let his passing completely take over me. And growing up, I've always been closer to God. Always had a relationship with God. I've never been forced to go into church or anything. I did go to church. I was never forced to. It was never oh yeah, you have to do this, and that, blah, 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 blah. It was never like that. But I've always known deep in my heart I've had a relationship with God. And it just became stronger and stronger, especially when my uncle passed away. I was only 6 years old, and I felt like I knew God was real. I would have dreams about God, almost, and heaven specifically. I actually remember a specific dream of golden cheese in heaven. I know that's like really random, but why would a little girl dream about that? Like I said in my last video, I can definitely do a testimony and my faith journey in a separate video. When I did get into high school, I did get involved in those groups and organizations that taught me about substance abuse and everything. And that's when it really hit me to tell my uncle's story. Really think about it, analyze it, not let it bring me down, but really just take his story and flip it and turn it into a positive. I know someone passing isn't a positive thing at all, but my uncle's story can save lives. It really affected me. Really affected me growing up. I grew up with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's just always affected me. And I feel telling his story actually makes me feel better about it. And that's why I recommend, if anyone has ever gone through a similar situation, to tell your story, because it could really help save people down the line. And that's my overall goal with this. And I have developed my own initiative called Prescription for Prevention. And my goal within it is to teach children and the whole community about substance misuse, opioid drug misuse, what it is, and give real life statistics and how it is affecting the community. And by sharing my uncle's story, I just pray that it saves lives and steers people who are already deep into addiction away from it and really try to fight for their lives. And if my uncle did get out of it, I just know he would be so successful in life. But he let those substances accumulate and take over his life. And now he is in a lot better place. And I pray that this video just gives attention to the opioid crisis that's going on in the world, and just try to stay away from substances and opioids in general. It doesn't even have to be opioid drugs. Substances in general, they can take over your life. Addiction takes over, and I truly believe anyone could get out of it. I believe in you. But yeah, that is my uncle's story on how he passed away from opioid drug misuse. Like I said before, he was really an amazing person. I just pray that this reaches people well and gives attention to what's going on in the world, because it is a reoccurring problem all throughout America and the whole wide world, and the community, everywhere. And just know that you are loved. There are multiple ways people take substances, people pass away from substances, and there are multiple ways you can get out of it. And I truly do believe in you. Fight addiction, beat it, because I know you got this. Anyways, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching and hearing my story, my uncle's story, and just acknowledging what's going on in the world and acknowledging something that happened that was so big to me in my life, and that there are ways to overcome it. Obviously, this story's never going to be in the back of my mind. Like, it's always going to be there. I can't throw away my trauma. But this is your sign to take your trauma and turn it into something positive. Bring light onto the situation. Save others from going through what you may have gone through, what your family may have gone through. Tell stories. It's super important. And it builds human connection and just saving lives altogether. Also, I do plan on starting a series where I'm interviewing others who have gone through similar situations as me when it comes to addiction, recovery, even family loss. So if you know or you are someone who would love to be interviewed and has gone through something similar, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to interview with you. I would love to talk to you and just hear your story. I think it's a beautiful thing. I pray you guys have an amazing day. I thank you again, and stay tuned for my next episode on Sky Sparkle Project. Bye, everyone.